Hello and welcome to another episode of the Complete Agent Podcast, where each week we aim to educate and entertain our industry. As ever, I'm joined by Ian Story and David Warburton. My name is James Kendall. Lads, how has your week been?
Yeah, all good. Thank you very much. A very busy week. Finally, we've got some decent weather, so I have been back to back with take-ons most days, which is really good. And obviously, as trying to get valuations as well, it still feels very, very busy out there at the moment. So yeah, all good, mate. As we roll on through the podcast, I will have a think about what else I have got to add in terms of value from my week. But I've been ill as well, so I'm feeling very sorry for myself. So
it's a shame we're not doing this on video, because I'd really love all of our audience to see Ian coming to us live from a potato.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. You're just pixelated, mate. You're very pixelated.
It's probably a good thing, actually, to be fair.
Sat in my kids go to a school in the countryside, and I'm sat in the car park because it's sports day at 9:30. So, two things. Firstly, it's not very comfortable, and secondly, my voice this may be another Lisp episode, which I'm becoming famous for now.
This is what you actually sound like, though. People that have met you in person know that you've got a lisp. Everyone on the internet, when you get Mark to do your videos and you get him to turn the bass up, everyone in real life knows that you've got a lisp.
The school is that rural. I'm literally watching two cars have it off in that field over there. One's just mounting the other. It's a lovely image. No, all good with our week. Busy still, which is good. We had one that's fallen apart that I sort of thought might fall apart because it felt too good to be true. I know that I told you two lads we had two really high-end homes. We had one guy that said he was buying both, which seemed like legitimate reasons at the time. He was buying one as a long-term project and one as a short stop while his daughter finishes school, and he's just gone completely AWOL. I think he is a mental patient. He's sort of said loads of things and not followed through. I think he's not. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. So that's a shame. But really, on the whole, pipeline's very good. Another really good sale agreed this week, a £1.5 million barn conversion, lads.
No way.
Yeah, yes way.
I believe you. Made up story.
Which I think takes us to nearly 10 sales. I think it's 9 or 10 sales in the last 10 days.
Wow.
Which is really, really, you know what it's like though, lads. We'll have another 2 weeks now with no sales. So ever was it thus. But generally very good. Phil's got a really good couple of listings under his belt in the last week. High-end stuff. He's doing really well. And things are busy. You know, as you say, Dave, really good to have the weather return. Or, well, not return, but just the weather turn. So we've been doing a good few shoots in the last few days. I've got a really good shoot today and a really nice farmhouse. So on the whole, very good, lads. Looking forward to my next holiday.
Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks. So you must be due another one now. So I was going to say this last week, we're going to talk about this on the pod this week. It's going to be a part of the subject. Sold a 2.25 house off market this week. So ahead of the market, which was really good. Also sold you'll like this, Ian, £1.25 million barn conversion. I say I haven't, Richard did. 1.25 mil off market. So that came from a social media post, the one I shared with our members. How that came about was we put a kind of a shout out there for one of our other clients, what they were looking for. A lady texted Rich and said, I think actually, no, from the mastermind, it was the voicemail from the mastermind. Do you remember I said there was a voicemail that came through on the mastermind to Rich's phone?
I do, yeah.
Lady with a barn conversion. Anyway, we managed to get around there. She'd had it valued at like 1.1 to 1.2. And we said, well, we thought we got somebody for it. Can we show them round? So we did an off-market viewing and got it all wrapped up at 1.25. So, yeah, Rich is in Sardinia this week for 2 weeks. So he's having a well-earned break. But that was a nice little off-market deal. I did an off-market view and another one we've got coming at one of Rich's actually at 800-ish. Listed a really nice kind of contemporary detached chalet bungalow yesterday, built 2018. Just got the video through from that. Really excited about that. That's 1.25. I tell you what, I've got more coming on $1 million plus in the next 6 weeks than I've ever had. It's ridiculous.
That's amazing. I think what does that make you think about brand stretch versus a new brand, JK?
Well, I'm going to sack off the new brand.
Yeah.
I'm just going to brand stretch. I've literally I've like Claire, bless her. If you're listening to this, I'm sorry, but she's worked really hard to put this unique and prestige brand together. And literally after the call here today, I've got a meeting with Jenny, who is doing some of our other bits. I know she's done some bits for you. Just about tweaking James Kendall estate agents and taking that, because I love the meeting we had the other day about TCA with her, and I just think I'd like a bit of that for my brand, a bit of a tweak. Kind of what you did a little while back, Story, with Story Estates.
Yeah, that's right. We tweaked it. So we started Story Estates. I don't really know why we did that now looking back, but it became apparent to me that the brand was too mid, probably too mid, I would say. It wasn't really lower ever, but it was probably too mid. Don't like the word estates, and the green was too sort of bright and limey. So we changed it to Stories and tweaked the branding again, and Jenny helped with that. Just a shout out to Jenny there, I think, really, because obviously we keep mentioning Jenny, but for anyone looking for, a superb quality sort of higher end looking website, I don't think you can get any better than Jenny. So she's called Jenny Tulip. I think it's Wild Design, is it?
Wild Agency, yeah.
Wild Agency, that's right. And she is absolutely superb, because she doesn't just design a website. She does all of your branding, and then really make sure that it's delivered correctly to the consumer. How it's all put
more
together,
about your website, it's about your brand as a whole, isn't it?
Your brand as a whole. Yeah. So she really challenged me loads of times during the design of our website, and I know she's doing our new website for Complete Agent, isn't she? And she challenges already on that, hasn't she? Several times.
Yeah. I was going to say as well, like, that I would also shout out Alex at Estate Apps as well, because I think depending on what you've got, Alex isn't going to help you with your brand. But just a decent website, Alex is really good. I know some of our members have used Alex. I'm actually doing a partial redesign of my site temporarily with Alex at the moment, which I'm happy with. But I kind of paused because of what's going on with branding. But I mean, it's a wholly different proposition. Jenny's much more of a bespoke package where, for anyone listening, expect to pay upwards of 5 figures for that service and the website. Alex is really good value at 150 or whatever it is a month, 160 quid a month, maybe a bit more now, depending on what tier you go for. I think you can go, you could do a hell of a lot worse than speaking to someone like Alex. I'm not on commission, but I really like Alex because he's a really nice guy, really wants to help you, and I just feel like he kind of gets it. Yes, there is a risk of running a template website and looking like everyone else. But if you do tweak it and your brand looks good, then you can quite easily put together a really good design for not a lot of money. And for me, and I think you're the same, Dave, I think, we're both kind of on the lines of, we've got an Estate Apps website, or one, mine coming. You've got 2, haven't you, Dave, already?
Yeah.
But it does a really good job for a reasonable price. And, in 6 to 12 months, I'll be speaking to Jenny about overhauling our site and starting again, and just see if she can copy and paste Ian's site and put my logo in.
I think you've got to remember as well, when you're doing what we do, particularly not necessarily having high street presence and all that, obviously your website is your shop window, isn't it? So you should refresh it anyway. I chose, obviously you're doing the brand stretch and everything. With me, it was different. I wanted a completely separate brand. And when I met with Alex, he was the ideal person for me. Like you see, he's also very quick and he gives good feedback. So to get it going, for sure, I think it's a great option. And like you've just given Jenny a lot of plaudits there. She is fantastic. And I think she just gets you thinking differently. The very first meeting that you and I had, Ian, with Jenny, just made me come away from that meeting thinking, I'm not looking at this in the right way.
Yeah.
It's not just a website design that needs to look really, really nice. I came away thinking, I almost need to go back to the drawing board a little bit here. He's asked me a lot of questions, got me thinking. So there's a lot more to it, but it's well worth your time and investment, I think.
It's much, again, if you relate it back to a estate agency like you can do with most things, you've got your kind of middle of the road transactional kind of websites and brand designers where you ask them to do something, they do it, they deliver you a product. Whereas I would just say there's a lot of synergies between what we do as business people in terms of what we do at the mid to higher end and what someone like Jenny offers. It's that kind of bespoke high end service that, it's the difference between your brand being, I don't know, Happy Shopper and, a global brand like Coca-Cola or, I know you guys love an analogy. But but that's the different, ultimately, I know they're two completely different things, but Happy Shopper, you look at that, what a pile of shit. And then you look at Coca-Cola, which is a global brand that everyone recognizes, and it looks simple as fuck, but it's just a really good brand.
Yes, yeah, that's absolutely true. That's true. Jenny.
You laughing because I was swearing there?
Yeah, swearing and giving analogies out and just generally being you. Lots of good reasons.
Yeah, you're on one.
You're quite right about all of that. So what we're going to move on to next, because this is not the Jenny Tulip show.
No, that's next week.
Should get her on, actually.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about pre-market and off-market. And so obviously I've sold one this week at 2.25 off-market. So we've sold one at 1.25 off-market. It's not the first one. It won't be the last one. And it was just to talk about the different various strategies that you can employ, but also when you're deciding where you want to fit in the space, if you're a mid to high-end agent, if you want to be in that upper-end space, you have to think outside the box. You can't just put it on Rightmove and hope it's going to sell, because there's a lot of deals to be done off market. And also there's a lot of value to be shown to potential clients in an off market offering. And sometimes, the stat from Gatesy the other week was, and it's, I realize it's 12 minutes. We've mentioned him already, so checks in the post. But 30% of properties over $1 million don't come to market. So there's a third of the market you can get hold of over $1 million there potentially in the UK, where you can do deals off market by just being a good agent. Getting hold of who is looking for something. We've kind of gone in this in the mini series a little bit as well with buyer letters. Working on behalf of buyers, because that's a good way to potentially do things. But when you've got like an upper end list of clients that are looking for homes, you can mix and match. And when you're fortunate enough to go out to a lot of homes, you can, for example, Ian, you've probably been out to how many this week? 10 houses this week?
Yeah, we've been in total. Yeah.
And same with you, Dave. Let's just put it into context. We're in June now, right? Last 6 months, you've probably been to a good 30, 40 houses that will probably sell at some point that are at the upper end, but they aren't ready now, or they don't want to go on the market yet. Would that be fair enough to say?
Yeah.
Right. And then you then come into contact with somebody that, has inquired about another one of your homes that says, oh, I really want 20 acres, or really, I've got a horse, or I'm looking for this. And you go, okay, well, I haven't got that on the market at the moment. Or you show them something else, but then, you ring one of your clients up and say, hi, Maggie, I've got a client here that is desperate for something with 20 acres. They're a cash buyer. Could I bring them round on the off chance if they made you to quote David Warburton, a show-stopping offer? Would you be open to selling and doing a viewing off market? And I've done deals on fees before. We haven't gone for the full 2%. Sometimes we've done 1.5%. Sometimes we've done 1.25%. Depends on what we achieve and the circumstances. With no marketing spend, a one-off viewing, you can afford to. I wouldn't do it for like less than 1%. But anyway, we're getting into the detail here. But the bottom line is, you can make deals happen that way. But again, I'm just scratching the surface here, and I'm conscious that I'm kind of going on one now.
No, I also think that the getting people to the off market thing is a great way of getting listings as well. So we've had several, where they don't want to go on the market straight away. So obviously you read that signal from the seller, and then you don't push them into going on the market. You say to them, look, we want to take some photographs, and we always do the full marketing shoot, John. Anyway, whatever happens, we always do the full marketing shoot. And then we can then use that marketing to put it out to people on our database. And it's a really great way to sort of gently ease people along. And that eventually most of them are probably going to sell. So it's a great way to either get it on and try and sell it off market, which we've done ourselves recently with one at 1.675. Or it's just a great stepping stone to getting them on the market eventually. We've got one at the minute that I've basically got. They've not signed, but they're coming back to me after the weekend. I'm sure they'll go with us because we sold their friend's house. And she's really, really nervous about everyone knowing her business, this lady. And, it's a lovely sort of, it's a 9-acre, Cheshire brick sort of farmhouse with a couple of barns, lovely, desirable part of the world. And she doesn't want everyone to know her business. They're also thinking of hiving off one of the barns and converting it, so keeping an acre for themselves. And we were saying, well, what do we think? How do we think that will impact the value? And I was saying, well, the barn we're planning in an acre is probably 500 grand. But does it knock 500 grand off of the price, which we think is about 2.25? But I was saying the best way to find that out is going to be to send a couple of buyers through John and test if that price is correct. So we can say, look, we think it's going to be about 1.75, 1.8 million with the barn hived off, and see if anyone will go for it. And if someone will go for it, then you've got a buyer there. You keep your barn and no one knows. And of course, I know that eventually I'm going to be saying to them, it'll all go really well. They'll love our service. And I'm going to say, look, when it exchanges, could I put it on Rightmove as sold?
That's what I really want to do with one of these ones.
Yeah. Eventually, I think most of them will say yes, because by then they'll have told their friends they're moving. People will know. They're going to know anyway eventually when they move. So you sort of edge them towards getting it on Rightmove as sold. And it can work. It can work really well. And the other thing I always say to people is, by doing it that way, you've not put it on Rightmove. There's no date stamp. There's no price stamp. So if it all goes tits up with the buyer, in our back pocket, we've always got the ability to just put it on
the fresh listing.
Yeah, no one will ever know all of this has happened in the background. And we've tested the price. So
100%.
It's a really good. You've just got to be a little bit careful, because I had another one recently where we agreed to do it on this basis, and it hasn't sold off market. And he said to me now that he wants to try another agent off market before we put it on.
Right.
So I've been a bit pissed off about that, really. But it's sort of the risk you take. But I think generally that won't happen. And I think it's a good way to get listings.
And it's progressing them, isn't it, as well? Dave, you've had a lot of success recently with pre-market as well, haven't you, with socials? I know you've done stuff off-market before, but with socials, you've had some real good success, haven't you?
Yeah. So, we've done a couple of sales without going to Rightmove this year. One's about to complete, actually, in the next couple of weeks, and that was sold off the video on Facebook. But I'm a massive fan of pre-launch. If you've got a proper pre-launch strategy, it's an instruction winner, because your vendors see it as an extra layer to kind of Rightmove and Zoopla, etc. And I was with a client last night, actually, who just doesn't use social media, and it was like speaking to someone who didn't know about it at all and how it works. So I literally had to pull out my phone and show them Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and they were an older couple, sort of saying, "Yeah, but how does that benefit our house?" So I was showing them a lot of the reels and the amount of video views they get, and the messages that I receive personally off the back of these video views and things like that. And it's, from our point of view as an agent, it is definitely an instruction winner. If you've got a proper pre-launch strategy that you follow every time, which we do, and I'll just quickly, I'll recap it in a second. It's an instruction winner in the sense that you're doing something different, but as you've just touched on there, Ian, it's amazing for price feedback. So I've had 3 this week. So I've got one that's kind of lower end, actually. It's at 450,000, but it is an immaculate house. It's a stunning, stunning house. And 450 is right at the top of the price band for a 3-bed semi, which is what it is. It's a 1930s 3-bed semi, but it's probably the nicest 3-bed semi I've ever seen. Really, really high spec, huge garden, lake at the bottom, things like that. And we've put that out there as part of our pre-launch. Like I said, I'll run through exactly what we do in a minute. But I've had so much traction on that. The video's gone insane, and the messages are just ridiculous. And I've got 10 viewings booked in, and we're not on Rightmove yet. So going back to that client, I can say the pre-launch has been absolutely incredible. 450 is too low for this house. And he is over the moon, because we thought 450 was top end for this. So we can either continue on down the same path, offers over 450, which is probably the right thing to do, and get a huge bidding war on it, or we can really stretch it and maybe go 475, even 500. That's how much I think we'll probably get for it. It's that good. So it's great for that. And then on the flip side, I've got another one where they want to launch at around 1.3, 1.35 million, where the feedback is incredible off the photographs, the video we've done, etc. But when people are contacting me, because I get loads of messages, and I'm saying, yeah, it's going to be 1.3 or 1.35 million. Is this one of interest? I'm getting a lot of people saying, oh, it's a bit more than I thought. So you're then going back to that particular person saying, look, the price feedback I'm getting is that it's a touch too high. Maybe we want to be a bit more competitive on the pricing. So it's a really great way of positioning yourself as doing something different in valuations as well, but it also helps you launch at the right sort of number. And people do like that. So again, we get a lot of questions from our group about valuing and when the numbers don't quite fit if you're using all the data and things like that. And the truth is, when you get to a certain point and a certain level in the market, there can sometimes be hundreds of thousands between what it'll actually sell for and what the data might tell you in the original valuation. So a lot of the time you have to put it out there to see what the feedback is. And if I think a lot of agents that I've dealt with over the years struggle on valuation, and they make more of it than they actually need to. So they'll sometimes, as soon as you start to have to justify your valuation, you're on a losing battle. So if they're saying like, we were expecting more than that, and then you're saying, yeah, but this, that, and the other, John, and it also almost turns into a bit of friction, doesn't it, in an argument. If you can demonstrate the data, and then I'm going to say it, JK, the subjective part of the valuation. There you go. Everyone's playing TCA bingo. There you go. Then it's a much easier way of getting it across, and you stand a better chance of taking the conversation away from valuation and concentrating on more about how different you are and how great you are and how you're going to get them to this amazing price. And again, we had one last night, and his valuation against the data is higher, and I'm sort of saying, well, yeah, that's okay. Don't worry about it. That's the subjective part. You might be right, and this is an average, so it might go above the average. I don't think it will as it happens, but that's what the data is telling us. And I said the other thing that we can do is once we do the pre-launch strategy and get everything out there, I'll get messages and I'll get feedback, and I might be able to give you some feedback there from where we're at. So he was like, yeah, that sounds great. That sounds perfect. So I think when we do the pre-launch on this one, and inevitably the messages that I get might be showing that it is a little bit, people are expecting to pay a little bit lower than what he actually wants.
What do you think it is, Dave? Buckingham Paris?
Oh, did you see that?
That was my favourite comment ever.
Yeah, basically what James is referring to there. I've got a few properties now actually that have got hundreds of thousands of views on TikTok, and I'm getting messages every 30 seconds on my phone. It's going that far and wide now. Or just comments on the posts, and I've stopped looking at them, but occasionally I'll just scroll through. And this house, I think, is on for it's probably, I think it's my £1.3 million house in Hulkenbrook, which is an amazing house. And somebody's just commented, 1.3 million. It's not Buckingham Paris.
Brilliant.
What's that? Where's that? You get some comment ever. I love the people on social media, particularly TikTok, who are valuers.
Yeah,
worth about 550 that, and it's on for 1.3 million.
Yeah. To somebody else said, I won't bother. You could buy a mansion in Thailand for 550. Don't bother.
Yeah.
All right, no worries.
Yeah. I had like I said, I get that all the time now. It's worth about 550. I'll just. Oh, thanks, mate. Really appreciate your input. I'll change the price.
Yeah.
On TikTok, I don't mind on TikTok. I'll just be a bit more blasé. Thanks, great. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy. I'll change the price immediately. Really appreciate your professional advice.
Yeah.
Dave, just tell us what your pre-launch strategy is. Outline it.
Okay.
I was actually recommended by someone I trust hugely in the industry, which is Stephen Brown. He said to check you guys out. We got chatting, and it felt like something we could learn a lot from, Zoe and myself.
So just briefly, for someone who was thinking of joining a complete agent, what would your advice be to them?
Have a chat with you guys. Make sure it's right for them. Make sure they're going to get what they think they're going to get, or what they're actually looking for, and then do it.
Dave, just tell us what your pre-launch strategy is. Outline it.
Okay. So my pre-launch strategy, it's pretty much the same every time. And what I do is initially do a Facebook Live at the house. So always go live at the house and give people a sneak peek. So jump on Facebook Live, walk around, probably 3-4 minutes, give a bit of info in the background. And once I press stop, I share my live from my Facebook page into all the local groups. And if I'm slightly out of area, which I am often, I've started joining a lot of the other local groups that will let me in. Sometimes you get a question, by the way, if someone's like the moderator messages you saying can't accept you or whatever. I normally contact them directly and just say, look, I am a business, but I'm trying. I promise I'm not going to spam. It's more when I've got houses, I'll just pop them in there for the your community to see, because I think it will be of interest. You know, property is really important.
Is there any other way you find of getting round moderators? Because we've got, obviously there's loads of groups, and I've done a few this morning. I put a couple of videos into groups this morning that'll let them in, or I do it on the business day. You know, some of them have business days, don't they? Any other tips that you've got for getting round moderators in other groups, or?
They don't always respond, particularly when they've got like 70,000 members. But I usually just usually message them as myself and just say I've got a brand, I've got a business called, and then I just say, look, I've got a really great house coming up in your area. I promise I'm not here to spam. I'm just going to put the house in there with the video. Obviously, you know, outside of the weather, you know, property is probably one of the most talked about things in the world, I would say. People love property, don't they?
It is. And chaps, I'm going to go because I can just see my little lad walking out for sports, so I don't want to miss it. So I'm going to go.
Enjoy, mate.
I'll see you next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
So yeah, you can obviously speak to the moderator before you try and post or join a group and just say, this is what I'm going to be doing. I get houses in and around your area and I'll never spam. I'll just put the property on there. I think it's of interest to your clients. Yeah, so after I've done the Facebook Live and shared that into all the local groups, I then do a Facebook Reel or an Instagram Reel, a Reel basically. I try and keep it to 90 seconds. On big houses, it's sometimes difficult, but obviously the benefit of keeping it to 90 seconds and below is that when you upload it to the likes of Instagram and TikTok, you can pick trending music for the clip, and it'll play the whole video. If it goes over 90 seconds, it will cut off at 90 seconds. So you just need to have a think about the best sort of parts of the house that you want to show. My favourite type of reel is to walk around the house all in one and just speed it up every now and again. I've learned how to do that well off my videographers. Say well, they're quite primitive, but I watched how they do them and I just do it myself. When you get a bit of like 10 minutes downtime at a shoot, they're dead easy to do. They don't take long at all. It's like 5 minutes going around the house.
Yeah.
And I usually edit it the same day while I'm at the house because I've got decent at it on CapCut. It takes me about 15 minutes to edit a video now. So in 20 minutes, I've got a showcase reel that gets viewed thousands and thousands of times. At the moment, because I've had a couple go semi-viral, I'm getting all of mine seem to just get loads of traction now on TikTok in particular. Nice. And I used to think TikTok, by the way, was a complete waste of time. I'd avoided it for ages. And I went on it a few months ago, and I just started posting a few of reels, and I'm getting really good leads. Like I've just got a lead on another pre-launch JK. It's not gone to market yet, and it's probably a week off. But I've got a viewing from somebody who's proceedable already, knows the area, and I just used to think it was full of kids and also just full of people all over the world just commenting crap. Yeah. But there's actually genuine interest. It's shocking how many people are on there. So it's worth having it as another medium. So yeah, once I've done the reel, that gets launched onto my sites, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and of course the Facebook ones, I share those into all the local groups. Once I get the full cinematic tour, I share that into all the Facebook groups. And then once I get a few photographs, I share a few of those into the groups, and then I'll usually share the twilights as well into the groups. So there's like 5 touch points before it ever goes live. And throughout this process, I'm always getting private messages saying, hi, just seen the house on Abercorn Road, whatever it is, how much is it going to be, when have you started on it? So I'll generally just reply with, hi, this one's da-da-da-da, this is how much it's going to be. Is it one of interest? That's it. And some people will just come back and say, oh, hi, no, a little bit outside my budget. In which case I can go, right, okay, tell me what you're looking for. We can get you registered in our database. Have you got a house to sell? Is that something I can help you with? So it opens up other conversations in that respect. But as I said, if we're just looking at the house in isolation, it just gives me a steer on what the feedback is going to be like before we go to the market. So the pre-launch has many benefits. A, definitely makes you stand out from your competition, because I don't think everybody does it every time consistently. And it's another layer for your vendors. But B, I think it gets your brand out there and it invites opportunity and gives you good price feedback. So it's something that I think everybody should be doing. And we've sold a couple off market this year, as I said. It's almost disappointing sometimes when you do, like you do, JK, because you want it out there, don't you?
That's it.
But I'm going to get that on Rightmove as soon as it exchanges. So
yeah, I'll say the same with me and mine. I'd really love to get them on there. Just so you've got them on there as social proof more than anything else. I'll tell you what is good as well. Again, so just taking the off-market thing to another level. One of the things I've been doing for the last probably 2.5, 3 years is building my network. And I actually got invited to a rooftop bar this week in London. And I'm connected with a lot of people that deal with the likes of like football agents, managers of like artists in the music industry, like almost via proxy. A good friend of mine owns a security company, and they look after kind of high net worth and ultra high net worth. They've done stuff for various celebrities, footballers, like managers. So I've kind of been building that network myself. And I got to go to this rooftop bar on Tuesday. I could only stay for 3 hours, but I had to just sort of dive into London by London Bridge, and there for 3 hours. Got talking to some good people. Made another good new contact that she looks after various footballers at different clubs, like in wealth management. She also manages a couple of people as well, and she's got no contact really that she can trust in my area, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I kind of made that connection and said, look, if your guys are looking to move to kind of Herts, Beds, Bucks, more Beds and Bucks really what I cover, but parts of Northamptonshire. So if your client, she said to me, she said, if we set up like a WhatsApp chat, let's have a look, meet for a coffee first anyway. But long term, let's set up a WhatsApp chat, and then I can introduce you to my clients. And we kind of worked a way out of that. I could represent them as a buying agent as well, because I haven't got anyone to do it at the moment. Because there's a few buying agents out there in the country, but it's not as well known, and then it's not as well advertised in the right places. And because of how because I've got a phrase that I use a lot of the time, and I think it's really true. How people meet you depends on how they treat you. Do you understand?
How people meet you? Yeah, okay.
Depends on how they treat you, right?
Yep.
So, if you meet somebody in a room full of high net worth individuals and you get introduced to someone by someone that's really high value and high level in that room, that person's going to give you all of their time. Whereas if you just walk up to that person and say, hello, I'm James, I'm an estate agent, they're more likely to go, all right, cheers, mate, see you later. But if somebody introduces you and says, like in that, for example, person in that room, really well known, ex-professional footballer, played for England, introduces you to certain someone and says, this guy does, he's the go-to person in Bedford for high-end homes like Beds and Bucks. Basically, I know because I'd sold a friend of his a house as well. He goes, I could vouch for this guy. He's really, really good guy to know. And all of a sudden, that person then is like, right, you've got their full attention, and they almost want to do business with you because you've had that introduction. And that's I think the power, because there's a lot of networking bollocks out there. I've done networking before where you've been, you meet somebody like usual business owner, nice person. There's like, do you know what? You'd be really good for this networking thing that I've got, right? It's called BNI. And no offense to anyone that goes to BNI, by the way, you're all wonderful people, but it just wasn't for me. standing up with my business card, giving a 60-second pitch, then getting thrown into another room and asked to pay into a pot. I ain't got time to do breakfast every week with it. I've got stuff going on. I'm busy, you know. But this is a whole nother level of networking. You don't pay to play. You don't, you know, it's very much you get invited to these events. And what I tend to find happens, I got a call from a really well-known, famous cricketer's wife a few months back, and they're looking at selling their house in the next couple of years. And she rang me and said, "Oh, so and so recommended you. I know it's out of your area, but I've seen that you've sold stuff sort of 15, 20 miles out of your office. Our house is probably going to be around 2-ish. Is that something you'd be interested in selling?" I said, yeah, of course, absolutely, yeah. And I said, "Oh, you know, what are your names?" And she said her names, and she goes, "Oh, you'll probably probably heard of my husband, but I got to be honest, I know nothing about cricket." And I said to her, "I'm really sorry, but I mean this in the most respectful way. I do not follow cricket. Talk to me about football, Premier League football. A bit like Ian's story, really. When we talk football, and he's like, 'Oh, Johnny Wilco, get him on us, fly half,' you know."
Yeah.
But cricket, rugby. I've sold houses to like top end rugby players, and I'm literally like, I got no idea who you are in the nicest possible way. Like, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" "Oh, I play rugby." "Oh, you look like a rugby player." Massive geezer. But yeah, just going back to it, you know, those kind of, I mean, Dave, you are really well connected like that as well. You've got some really good friends in and out of football, in and out of business in that area. And, you know, again, it's all about, you know, again, to use another phrase, they say your network is your net worth. And it's so true sometimes in agency.
Yeah, I've felt it more over the last couple of years as well. I think as you start to get a reputation and do things a certain way. I mean, again, at the risk of going right back to the podcast and repeating ourselves, but that's what agency is, about consistency. When you go back and look at the way you look, you want to look like what you want to attract, and then you need to consistently do things. And it might not always feel like you're making big strides, but you don't know who's watching. And funnily enough, I'm going to evaluation at 11:30 this morning, and I know of this guy. I know him, and he's never contacted me, never reached out in all the time that I had my mid-range brand. And I know he does big developments in the city centre of Manchester. He's connected that way, but he's also quite a high net worth individual and does luxury builds and things like that. And like I say, he's clearly been watching, because he rang me last week and he said, "Hi Dave, just wanted to have a chat with you about my house. I'm looking to sell it, and I think I'd like you to do it for me. I've been watching your stuff." It's exactly how he rang me. I've been watching your stuff. It looks great. It's exactly what I'm after. He's not even asked me for to come and value it. He's saying, "I want you to come and sell it. Just tell me what you need to do."
Yeah.
So I'm going today, and his house is probably going to be around 1.5 million. But this is the kicker. Where he lives, he's got about 25 acres, something like that, in the back.
Oh, wow.
And he's been battling with the councils for the last 2 or 3 years, and he's finally got planning permission for 13 luxury homes.
Wow.
And he said, "And I want you to sell all them for me as well." And that's... So
I hope you said no.
Yeah, I have. I'm too busy. So it's next year, that. It's next year. But
yeah.
So his is going to be sooner. So I'm going to that shortly. The other ones are all going to be next year. He's got planning for 10, definitely. And he said the other 3, it's almost a formality. I've just got to do this, that, and the other.
Nice.
But I want them all built and sold next year. It's phenomenal, you know. And he is somebody that I knew of. I'm connected with, and I just thought, come on, give me a chance, coach.
Yeah.
Come on. And here we go. So today is the day. I need to go in there and do a great job. But it just shows you never know who is watching. And you know, I had fully enough, again, just off TikTok reels and things like that. I had a former IBO champion, boxing champion, IBO featherweight or welterweight champion.
Oh yeah.
Contact me this week. Never heard of him, but yeah, he's got a really good following. And we had a nice chat about finding him a house. He was interested in one of mine. It's probably not going to be big enough for him, but he is a very well connected guy. He's got a big fight coming up and stuff soon. And he was talking to me a little bit about that. And I've just said, yeah, of course I'll help you try to find something. Because again, if you help someone like that find something, who do they know that they can pass your name on to? So you're absolutely right, JK. I think you never know who's watching. And for me, a lot of it goes back down to what we always talk about, which is doing things the right way and being very, very consistent with it, because it'll come. It'll come.
Do you know the thing as well is in those sort of groups, trust is really important.
Yes, it is.
You've got to be high trust, high performance to actually get connected in those circles. Because, discretion and confidence, they don't want you to go, oh, yeah, valued Kylie Minogue's house last week. She's moving out to Australia again. She's not. She's staying in England. But jokes aside, once you kind of, and that's kind of what I've done over the last few years. I've made a name for myself in this space where, I've looked after people. I've been discreet. I've spoken and connected. I've just, made the most of all of the conversations that I've had with people as well. From starting out, we all know where our business started if you looked at the mini series and where we came from. But just, I'm almost gutted that I didn't start in the higher end space sooner because, I always feel like I was born to do it, really. Because I'm able to articulate the market to people. People trust in what I say. But it's also just being able to spot opportunities and pair the right people together. There's one super prime agent that I've started to get to know quite well for another friend. And sometimes they've done a lot of deals in a super, again, we're not super prime, but a lot of the deals they've done in the super prime space is the same as the kind of the prime space, I suppose you could call it, where somebody that wants to sell something and somebody that wants to buy something, and you just basically kind of connect the dots, and then you could do an off-market deal.
Yeah. There's loads of that. I think, again, it's just doing the right things at the right time. You're excellent on LinkedIn as well, and I think you get a lot of reach from that. But if we talk about presenter-led video tours and things like that, and this is the way to get yourself out there. And if you're not out there, you're not likely to attract these people.
No,
you do have to. It's not like we're saying going to network events every week.
No,
I mean you could do worse, obviously, but it's not something I do at all, really. I do a few golfing things every year, and the odd thing that you've just alluded to, that kind of thing. But it's not like it's massively at the top of my priority list. I just think doing consistent things well every single time will get you noticed, and doing video and putting yourself on camera is one of the best ways to achieve that, I think. Can
I just say as well, there's another thing that at the top end, especially with those sort of circles and people at the high end, and I can't remember where it was discussed, whether I heard it on another podcast or whether we talked about it ourselves, but it's kind of that with or without you energy. If you meet somebody, like, there's only 3 people I think I could possibly meet that I would be starstruck even. And that's John Terry, Frank Lampard, and Didier Drogba. Other than that, I think out of that, I pretty much get away with it. But, I've met some celebs, I've met some like footballers and stuff before. And the thing is, I've just kind of treated them as a normal person. And that sounds really obvious to say that, but they do get a lot of, oh my, wow, I'm showing so-and-so around the house. There's a few like the Crystal Palace boys that live around this neck of the woods. Couple of like Brentford players. Like there's a few Premier League footballers around this area because we're so connected to the M1. They can get a lot for their money out this way compared to what they would in kind of central London. But that with or without you energy has really kind of stood me well. Like, give people a world-class service and, really know your stuff and really give them the time. But also just say to them, I've got them on WhatsApp, and just say, look, keep me on WhatsApp. If this is for you, great. If it isn't, let's stay in touch. And just give me a text when you need me. And then there's quite a famous Radio 1 DJ that lives in Bedford. And I've got him on WhatsApp. And their kids go to various private schools that are quite popular in this area. And he's another contact for me. So when something comes up that's special, sort of 2+, I text him and just say, just wanted to let you know, I've spoken to this person, it's coming off market. If any of the pet, because they've got like WhatsApp groups, even in private schools, they have WhatsApp groups.
Yeah.
And the house I've just sold off market at over 2, like that's gone in the WhatsApp group to all the parents at that school. Like, oh my God, it was amazing. We got this price, and it was off market. We had lots of interest prior to it going, etc., etc. And it just, again, it's that social proof and making sure you're known in the right circles, which can be massive. So I think we've covered that off quite well there. We were gonna chat about the latest HPI that came out as well, weren't we, Dave?
Yeah, let's have a finish on that because it's something that people can use. And let's have a quick look. I'll just bring it up now. So we talk about this a lot. Just sort of communicating what's happening in the market to your existing clients, your stock, and also obviously educating your market. So, just last night I did a valuation where this client has been on the market some time with someone else, and I presented all of the data to him. And the data is showing that his area is dropping at the moment. And it has been since he went on the market some 6-8 months ago. And that hadn't been reported to him by his agent. And I said, if you'd known this 6 to 8 months ago, you could have taken action, and you might well have been sold by now without the need for me to be here.
Yeah.
This is the difference. You need to not just be looking at what's happened on land registry, because that's often outdated. You need to look at the trends. And even though the information on the Rightmove house price index isn't completed data, they have got the most live data available to anybody in the country, because they can see what houses are going on the market at and what they are being agreed at. They can also see how many people are actually looking on their website, which is the biggest website in the country. So it's so important that you articulate this. And the most recent Rightmove house price index came out just this week, and it's showing quite a bit more positivity again. But the same things are a problem, and it's why a lot of houses are stagnating. So we know that stock levels are at an 8-year high. We know that the average 5-year fixed mortgage rate is now 5.04%, which is more than it was in January. Not by much. It was
by
just
0.1%.
Yeah, it was like 4.94% in January. So it's not by much, but it's a big thing that for a lot of people, that psychology of being over 5%. So they're saying that stubbornly high mortgage rates continue to stretch affordability, with many future movers likely to have a closer eye on when the first Bank of England rate cut might be, rather than pre-election housing market promises. And they've also done a poll, Rightmove, of 14,000 people. So it's a good selection. And 95% of people are still planning to move home despite the election. So there's so much positivity in this. And you could just take the bullet points from the top. You could write a little section on it yourself, add some context, and get it out to all your existing clients and use it in your valuation and say, these are the trends that we're seeing. So there's no demand issue. It's a price sensitivity issue. It's clear there is a price sensitivity issue. So follow the data and then monitor it. There's the land registry, which has just had its data updated, is actually showing annual growth of 1.1%. So again, that's positive. And if you're in the Northwest, which is where I am, prices increased 3.8% year on year. If you're in London, then prices have dropped 3.9%. So how are you communicating this to your target market? It is so important that you do that. So as soon as these HPIs come out, house price indexes for Rightmove and Zoopla, I would massively encourage everybody to jump on them and start using them to their advantage, not just in valuations, but with your existing clients as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, you've got to keep people informed, having that chat every week with people in WhatsApp, it's not just what their house is doing, what is the market doing? Because we've what have we done? Probably 3 price changes in the last week. At the kind of mid to upper end where it's 3. Yeah, we'd taken one down from 900 to offers over 850. And that's just unlocked it now. We've got 3-4 viewings booked this weekend. One down from 850 to 8. And again, we're doing an open day or viewing day, not open day, a week next Saturday. We've got 2 or 3 viewings booked there. So it's going to unlock, both 2% fees as well. So, it's 32 grand sitting there potentially that could be unlocked in the next 2 weeks. Another one we had sitting at 500. We sold last year at 515. But there isn't a huge amount of momentum there. So we've just changed that to 475. We have got a dependent on it as well on 400. So we're just about to knock them down to 375, which should unlock it. So it's just, I suppose, managing expectations in the market. And we are reporting, that while prices and demand is there, it's very much still a price sensitive market. And if it hasn't sold and there is no inquiries coming in, then it is a pricing issue. An agent can control 3 things, Dave.
What are those 3 things, JK?
Well, 3 key areas, and that's the quality of the marketing,
the
exposure that your property receives, and the frequency and the quality of the communication with you, the client.
I love that. I'm glad you've been listening. And that's another tick on the bingo sheet for people.
Yeah.
Bosh. Yeah,
there's another one.
Is bosh. It is very, very important that. And how you deliver this and articulate it will stand you in good stead. And again, JK, it goes back to the same things with your marketing. Have you ticked every box on your marketing? Because if you have, then these conversations are much easier to have. I've got a client on the market at the moment. He started at 950. He's just reduced to 9. Honestly, it's still borderline. It's probably not quite enough. And the disappointing thing for him is that for 12 months, he was on the market with an agent who told him his house was worth 1.1 million. And it's nowhere near.
We've all been there.
So
I've just taken one off another agent that they had it on at 1.3. Then I had it on 1.25. They've gone through 6 agents, and I am the chosen 7th. Lucky me. At 1.2. But I genuinely feel like I can get it sold. They are motivated. They bought a property abroad. Oh, another one as well, just quickly while we're talking about this. So there's another house that just reminded me. You're talking about this chap that was on at 1.1 with this other agent, right? So I've got the exact same thing, right? So on at 1.1 with another agent, dropped down to a million and 50. Then it's gone to 1 million. Then it's gone to 950. Then 9. And now, guess what? It's 850. And he's on his 4th agent. He got me round and he goes, it's 4,000 square feet, Dave. Even in the north part of the country, you're getting more than £200 a square foot on you. Yeah? Yeah. So in the area average in this area is about £335 pound a foot, even at that end of the market. So already that's 1.2. It's what it should be. But they've eroded the value so much because they've got so much stuff. These people are moving abroad, right? I reckon based on how long it's been on the market and what they've done and where it is, it's probably going to be about 9.
Yeah.
And I've quote a 2% fee, but I've also done an accelerator, so 2% at 850, and then 20% of everything over. I reckon I'll get 9.
Yeah.
But he didn't go with me the first time because when he rang me and said, "Why isn't my house selling?" I told him the truth, and the reason his house isn't selling is because he's got crap everywhere.
Yeah.
So he called me out again. He goes, "Look, we spoke before. I didn't like what you had to say, but it's not going anywhere. You're selling everything around that's 800 plus. Will you come and see me?" So I went to see him, and he's got 4 dogs, 3 kids. He's got shit everywhere, and I just said, "Look, John, it's always
help
John.
me to help you, John."
Yeah. Well, I gave him a list and said, "John, I can't get you photographed for 4 weeks, mate." I said, "But this has got to go. This has got to go. This." I said, "If you want to sell your house and you want to get 900 grand for it, or near 900 grand," I said, "the other option is just sell it for 700, and hopefully someone will buy it. Someone will clear it up and buy it. But why would you do that? None of the agents so far have had the bollocks, for want of a better phrase, to say, look, your house is untidy and you need to finish bits off and do bits." And I went through there for about an hour and a half through the whole house. It was painstaking.
Mm.
And he said, now that you've said that, he goes, I can see why. But the next 4 weeks, he sent me a photo the other day. He's repainted all the railings at the front of his house where they're all like flaking off and they look tatty. He's jet washed all the driveway. He's shown me a picture of a skip where he's thrown a load of stuff in the skip.
Yeah.
I'm going to go there next week, a week ahead of when we take the photos, and make sure everything's on track. That I guarantee you, that house will fly out. When I've marketed it properly and it's staged right, it will fly, and he'll be buzzing.
Yeah, and just wait till you can show all the original photographs and then what you got, what you did with it.
It is honestly, mate. It's horrific. Like the latest photos. So modern method of auction is the current method they're using, right? So everyone that's kind of viewed it. I mean, I showed a client it the other day, and I said, "Look, do you want to come and see this?" And they were like, "Nah, that's a repo. That one. That's not a repo."
No.
They thought it was a repo because there was shit everywhere in all the photos, and the modern method of auction. So they just thought it was a repo, and there was something wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. They've got plenty of money. It's a nice house. It's just literally the photographer's gone in there and gone, well, that'll do. Like, there's no thought or effort gone into staging and styling it. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one, actually, because I think that'll be a really good case study and testimonial.
Yeah, it will, 100%. And it's testament to you as well going that way and just telling them what they need to hear, because otherwise it could end up costing him literally hundreds by the sound of things, of thousands. And you've got to have these honest conversations with people because you're helping them.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Well, I said to him, do you want to sell your house, or do you want me to tell you what you want to hear? And I was like, you want to sell your house. You want to get to your property abroad that you've bought, that you're paying for, that you can't use. So this is what we need to do. It's, well, it's up to you. Sell it for nothing.
Yeah. Tom Panos used a great phrase.
And
he
do
says,
his voice as well.
I'm not doing his voice, but I've got a terrible cold, JK, remember that?
It might work.
What?
It might work.
No, I'll do it.
You wanted to do it.
I was going to do it.
There's nothing better than nothing worse than a crap hot buyer in front of a crap agent.
Yeah, mate, you've got to be in the market, not on the market. That's that. That's still bad. It's still bad. I'm struggling there. No, but he says basically to your client, do you want to be on the market or in the market?
Yeah.
And I like that. It's a nice way of putting it, because it's like you've just said, you could just stick a lot of crap pictures on there and stick it on the market and you might sell. Or you can go to the effort that you're going to now and helping that client be in the market with a fighting chance of selling it at the premium price that you want.
100%.
Because let's face it, all properties will sell. There's a number for every single house in the world.
Mm.
But, ultimately you want to try and get the best for it. And just by going to that little bit of effort, it will massively help them. Because I always say, JK, you're no longer selling your
house. You're selling your
buyer's next home. And there is another tick on the bingo sheet. And it's got to be right. It's got to be right. It's got to be done properly. So, yeah, all these things, mate.
Can I just say, Tom Panos, if you're listening, mate, I'm a massive fan. And if you want to come on the podcast, hit me up.
Yeah, he's great. He is great.
So should we wrap it up there, Dave?
Yeah, I think we're there. I hope it's been action-packed for everybody.
Yeah.
Quick shout-out to the TCA, the Complete Agent. If anybody is wanting to improve and take their agency to the next level, get into more mid to higher end homes, and likes the idea of doing what we do, please do get in touch with myself, JK, Ian Story, or Aidan. We'd all be delighted to help and have you on board.
Can I just say as well on that as well, that just talking about network, it's great having obviously the training element, the letters and everything that we provide, but we're also able sometimes to provide, people with opportunities and instructions. We had one this week where a member was moving to one of our members' areas. We don't kind of charge referral fees or anything like that. We just want to put them in front of the best agent to help that client. So this week in particular, Ian was able to pass a client over to another one of our members. Having viewed a wonderful house with Ian and his team, Ian and Alex were able to recommend one of our members in the group, and it really kind of puts them in good stead when they walk through the door and they go, well, we're connected with a network with stories and a real good instruction winner.
Yeah, that same person got one from me a few weeks ago, more lower end. But the one that I went to last night, it's a little bit out of patch for me, to be honest with you. And that same person might end up getting an opportunity on this one.
Nice.
It's just that I got referred to them and they want to use me, I think. But
Maybe we should introduce referral fees then.
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
I was just thinking last night, it is a bit out of my patch, and I'm so busy at the moment. So, yeah, it's a really valid point that it's just a great connect, isn't it? And one of the upsides of it as well that I think we've covered on previous pods and stuff is that it's a great instruction winner when you're going up against some bigger agents or perceived bigger agents who say that we've got a network of offices across the country and all that. This is the same sort of thing. We've got clients all over the country now who can, potentially put their home in their shop, their shop window. So yeah, it is. It's good. It's good for that as well. But we've just got a really great group of people. Obviously, we do the monthly Zooms where people can check in and share issues that they're having, get tips, advice. We've got the private WhatsApp group that is just every day somebody puts something on that, which is really good. I was on a Zoom call with one of the members earlier in the week, just running through some data and helping them get prepared for evaluation. And obviously we have the quarterly masterminds as well as all the content that we do to help produce and generate leads for people at this end of the market that's consistently doing that. We had, I think Steve put on another nice success story this morning, didn't he? So it's just great to have it, and I'm obviously really proud of the members of what they're achieving, and it's a really great network. So if when you're listening to this podcast, you like the sound of what we're talking about and getting into the mid to higher end homes, go to thecompleteagent.co.uk, join the Facebook group that we've got, reach out to us and we'll talk to you all about it and see if your postcode is available, because that's the key thing. It is on a postcode exclusivity basis. There are no competing agents. So it's a really nice place to be able to share ideas and share problems, etc., without being in fear that someone's going to either steal your ideas or use it against you, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, another great week. Ian, thanks so much, mate. It's been a real pleasure. Thanks for your input this week.
You're welcome. Incredible podcast, lads.
Yeah, great one. Right. So we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening, guys. And we'll see you next week.
Cheers, guys.